It is important to give a sex talk to a teenager with autism or disabilities because they need to be prepared for what is coming. Puberty happens to everyone, irregardless of disability. And if you don't give the talk, you're going to end up with a whole bunch of odd situations or odd moments where it's like, I think I broke something. I think something's wrong. I think I destroyed something, you know. Those kinds of things, so that's why it's important. You actually have to give the talk multiple times, most likely. The best age is usually in between 11 and 12 years old, but it depends on when you think puberty is starting for your child. If it's starting as young as 10, then 10 is when you begin. If it starts as old as 14, then 14 is when you begin. But the average target age is 11 to 12. And it really depends. You're going to have to give the talk probably more than once because the information is overwhelming. Almost always you're dealing with information that's new, or it's like, wait, what? And you may get questions. It's important so that you don't end up with surprises, that you don't end up with odd conversations where people, where your child is like, what's going on? Did I break something? Did I do something wrong? What's going on? And it's really going to be important so that they understand what's going on. Because if they don't understand, you're going to have awkward times, awkward conversations. It's really important. Since puberty happens to all of us, whether or not we have autism, you kind of need to have this talk. Generally, the age you want to start having these talks, it's more than one talk oftentimes, is 11 to 12 years old. If your child starts puberty as young as 9, you can start at 9 or as late as 14. I would start no later than 14 because once you're into 14 years old, you'll hit puberty at any point after that. And the reason I say it's more than one talk is you will likely have to go over terms or ideas more than once. The easiest ones to pick up on are if they start growing facial hair as a boy, or if they start growing underarm hair, or if their voice cracks. If the voice begins cracking, you are definitely beginning to hit puberty. Other signs may be if you end up with a bedwetting incident that isn't classic. They will learn it from somewhere else, someone else. The internet, their friends, their classmates, really anywhere that you can get information, they can learn it from. If you're not the one teaching it to them, they may pick up the wrong ideas, the wrong messages, and the wrong things. One of the things you really want to avoid in giving the sex talk to teens with autism is cliches. You want to use actual words for actual things rather than trying to use euphemisms for certain body parts, certain activities that happen during puberty. First off, changes in puberty, the changes in the voice, the growth of hair, and the changes to your sexual organs, to the penis, to the vagina, to whatever the organ is that the child has. You have to use proper terminology. You have to use the word penis, vagina, masturbation, words that are going to be uncomfortable to use, that you're going to sit there as a parent or as the person giving the talk going, I don't use these words every day. I don't talk about these things so freely, but you need to, and you need to use the words. I used to trip over during my early talks about sex the word masturbation because that's not something we talk about in the public in the United States. But it needs to be talked about because it is something human beings do. Really, it's the relationship in between males and females, and males in between other males. The relationship in between males and males will get more aggressive, sometimes to the point of physical violence. There is locker room talk or dirty talk that boys will have, jokes about the size of their penis, things like this that you have to go over. And then you have to talk about what happens between men and women really during this phase socially, where the relationships change, the feelings change, the ideas of how you interact change from when you were much younger. You break it down to the most simple elements you can. Just because you don't think they understand doesn't mean that the talk cannot be done. You have to break it down into simple elements of, You're going to grow facial hair. Your voice is going to change. You're going to get hair around your private parts. This. And you have to put it in the most simple terms possible. It's important that an autistic teen, know what's going on, not only with him or herself, but with the opposite gender, because they have to understand that it happens to everyone. Not simply that puberty happens to boys and is a boys-only thing, because it's not a boys-only thing. It's not a girls-only thing. They need to know what's going on with the opposite gender, meaning you do have to explain to boys that girls have a different set of private parts, that there are different rules with girls, different things that go on with girls during puberty, because this is information you need to know. An autistic child who's of one gender may think, oh, this doesn't happen to the other gender, and if they keep thinking that way, it's like it only happens to me, you're going to have problems. That's just kind of a given. What age can you start a romantic relationship? When does mom and dad think it's appropriate for said teenager, said young adult? What are the ground rules that mom and dad have for a relationship? How far do you want the child to go in their relationship? What are your rules about kissing, sex, unsupervised versus supervised dates? And yes, these are all uncomfortable subjects for most parents, because your child will be like, okay, I'm in a romantic relationship. Does that mean I get to kiss my girlfriend? When is the appropriate time for sex? How do I start a relationship? How do I break off a relationship? Do I break off a relationship? When is a relationship good or bad? That's really kind of what you're dealing with. In this is the only time I will say you need black and white examples of proper behavior and improper behavior. This is where I would use YouTube videos or some sort of explainer that gives very black and white rules of what is appropriate and inappropriate in jokes, in relationships, in the way you talk, and the way things go. You really need more black and white. It cannot be gray. And so much of what we deal with in relationships, in puberty, in other things, in this period, is gray, but it has to be more black and white. This is good, this is bad. You can say this in public, you can only say this in private. These kind of things. First off, you have to make the autistic teenager aware that there is such a thing as peer pressure. They will be completely unaware that it even exists. So you have to start with the base level. This exists, they will try to get you to do things, and you can say no. And you have to explain again, a little bit less black and white, but using real-world examples about what peer pressure is. And even show them the gray peer pressure, where it may not feel like peer pressure, but it is because of what's being said or implied in the conversation. That's the kind of peer pressure I hate. Peer pressure that's plain, simple, old, clear, once an autistic knows it exists, they can spot it. The gray peer pressure, the peer pressure that doesn't look like peer pressure, but oh God, is it? But the autistic may not know it because it may look innocent or sound innocent, and it's not. With hygiene, it's a little bit different. First off, the idea, it's like, wait, what do you mean I stink? What do you mean I have body odor? I can't smell myself. I'm perfectly fine, I don't smell. Once I can smell myself, I should be able to go take a shower. No, other people don't want to smell you because by the time you smell yourself, no one else will want to be around you. Really, it's about saying, hey, you need to use deodorant every day. You need to shower as often as you can. You need to brush your teeth. You need to comb your hair. You need to go get your beard trimmed because there's too much food in it. Whatever. I mean, really, it is what it